Anand, api පටන් ගමු අපේ lesson එක. Before starting, I would like to ask whether you have any issues regarding the lessons ongoing. If we can discuss a bit regarding the lessons that we should do and the lessons that we previously did. Because your comments would help me to make this more effective. පරණාස මේකේ අපිට පොඩි අදහසක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න මේ යන විදිය ඕකේද තව මොනවා හරි එකතු වෙන්න ඕනේද අද අපි මේ ඉංග්‍රීසි පාඩමක් කරලා බුද්දිසම් පැත්තේ vocabulary එක improve වෙන පොඩි lesson එකකටත් යනවා. I'm going to start off with an English lesson. Thereafter, I would like to do a particular session where you can improve your vocabulary, especially related to Buddhist teaching.
Excuse me, sir. Shall I make a suggestion
Yes.
for today? That is the thing that in last minute, can you
Yes.
explain about this scholarship, about this Nalanda scholarship in the last minute?
Actually, I have no idea. It is not a message shared with the group by me.
Okay.
So I think you can personally contact Venerable Narada Thera regarding that matter. I'm
Okay.
not aware.
Okay.
Okay, then we will start. I think most of you may have learned the simple present tense. But today I am going to point out something very important that you should know regarding the present continuous tense. Where we can actually practically use them in conversational or written English. You know that generally we use the simple present tense to talk things in general. So there we should understand the structural formation or the pattern related to the simple present tense. There we find the verb is used in two different forms. Now you can see the screen here. The verbs are generally divided into two areas like plural and singular. So come, go, work. If you find the verb in the form with which you are usually familiar, we consider them to be plurals. And comes, goes, works. If you find the verb ended from either S or ES, we consider them to be singular nouns. So here we do have to understand this particular difference with regard to the verb. Because when the subject, it is very simple rule that we all are aware of. When the subject is plural, we do have to use the verb in the plural form. And when the subject is singular, we have to use the verb in the singular form. For the purpose, we should have this general understanding. And here you can see how they get formed. So when it comes to the simple present tense, of course, we find the verb only in these two different forms. The verb can be either, if you find the verb come, it can be found either in its plural form or in the singular form. And here you can see how they get formed. Do plus come equal come. That is how the plural form of verb get formed. Does plus come equal comes. That is how singular verbs get formed. So initially we have to understand the relevant helping verb is do or does, and they are hidden inside the verb. If the verb is ended from S, you should understand it is singular and the relevant helping verb is does and it is hidden inside the verb. And if you find the verb in the form with which you are usually familiar, you should consider them to be plural. And the relevant helping verb is do, even though we do not see any particular clue just to understand whether there is a helping verb. We have to understand the relevant helping verb is do and it is hidden inside the verb. So this sort of understanding is important when making ideas, negatives, and interrogative. And also when emphasizing, we do have to separate the helping verb out of the verb. So for the purpose, this understanding would be very. And now you can see where all the time I take very simple examples just to understand, just to make things clear. He comes for this class. Now you see that when you say that he comes for this class by using simple present tense, it doesn't mean that he is coming for class right now. Or it doesn't mean that he attended the class previously. Or it doesn't mean, anyway, when you say that he comes for this class, it means that he is a regular member of this class. Maybe he is absent today, but you simply can say that he comes for this class if he is a regular member of this class. So whenever you want to convert the idea into negative, you have to separate does out of comes and connect negative with that. Once you separate does out of come, remainder is the base form come. It doesn't come for this class. Whenever you want to interrogate a question, you can use does at the beginning, secondly the subject, thirdly the base form, the rest of the sentence according. Does he come for this class? And fourthly, you can see how you can negatively interrogate. So this is actually just like a block, what you can use when making any type of singular ideas, either positive or negative or question. So, and again, Venerable Thero, you can interrupt me. You can question anytime. If you have any question, please unmute your mic and question. I think everybody can see the screen and everybody can hear what I'm explaining. They come for this class. If you have any question regarding these example sentences, prepositions, anything, please question. They come for this class. When you say, now you can see there is a plural subject. So we place the verb in the plural form. That means without having an S at the end, they come for this class. And negative, whenever we want to put the idea into negative, we have to understand the relevant helping verb, which is hidden inside the verb. So I told you, when it comes to plural type of verbs, the relevant helping verb is do and it is hidden inside. We don't see any type of clue so that we can understand whether there is a helping verb inside or not. But we now earlier understanding would help you. Right? Then they come for this class. We separate do out of come and connect negative with that. And remainder is the base form come. There you do not find any change. They don't come for this class. Whenever you want to question, you can have do at the beginning, secondly the subject, thirdly the base form, the rest of the sentence according. Do they come? And in the fourth example, you can see how you can negatively interrogate. Don't they come for this class? These are just like blocks with which you can use thousands and thousands of similar type of sentences when talking things in general. So basically, we should understand we use the simple present tense to talk things in general. Especially when using the simple present tense, you don't think of any particular time frame. Now, you know that you can say that we drink tea. By using simple present tense, when you say that we drink tea, it doesn't mean that you are having tea right now. Or it doesn't mean that you have had a cup of tea right now. When you say we drink tea, you mean that you have it when it is the time for you to have it, whenever you need it. You are general user of that particular substance. So that's what you just mean. Likewise, actually, we have to understand the pattern. You may have understood this particular pattern related to simple present tense, but hereafter we have to understand this, where we can simply come up using this particular pattern related to the simple present tense. Another example, they work in a factory. They don't, do they? Don't they? So now, when making things clear, we should take very simple type of examples. Then we can simply understand, without any complication, we can simply understand the patterns. When he works in the bank, when you say that he works in the bank, maybe he is working in the garden right now. Maybe he is doing something at home right now. But when you say that he works in a bank, you mean that he is employed in the bank. That is the usual place of his work. Negative, it doesn't work.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
We can't put that at instead of
Yeah,
a.
yes, you can use even that. He works at a bank. When talking about these type of sentences, you can use either preposition. In a bank, at a bank. Both are equally correct, but very commonly we use the preposition in. But now we are going to do very comprehensive lesson regarding prepositions. Then we will point out what is the linguistic approach so that you can correct the mistakes that you have when using prepositions. But anyway, if you have any issue regarding example sentences, patterns, tenses, prepositions, you can question like that. Questioning is very important because you know that questioning is a way of learning. By questioning, you can make things clear. And again, we can make this lesson a bit more live if we can continue this class in form of dialogue and discussion rather than you being passive listeners. Now you see that a famous quote by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, if you don't fight for what you want, don't try for what you lost. So here you can see when talking about certain quotations by books, of course, we tend to use simple present. So because we consider those ideas, concepts to be general. When one door closes, another door opens. But we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one that has opened for us. When one door closes, that means now you know that we lose opportunity. Losing opportunity doesn't mean that you finish everything. All right, it gives a particular message. that you have to proceed on another path. So we have to, when losing opportunities, we have to properly read it rather than regretting over the lost opportunity. So anyway, you see that, so we have to, considering quotes, you know that there now we can take a lot of quotes from different subjects, religions, teachings. So you can make use of these type of quotes for the purpose of improving your English language. If you take a very big lesson, so maybe you feel bored in reading continuously. But when it comes to simple ideas of this type, which are very brief, we can learn, we can simply finish it off and get the content or the idea. And again, we can analyze the structure, pattern, when making general type of idea. Now, if you are going to tell something about, now if you are going to quote something from Buddhism, you can say, Dhammapada says, canons talk about this concept. Buddhism teaches. Likewise, we just use the simple present. So that is the point that you should take out of this. And I think you can remember, we discussed the present continuous tense previous day. Then we talk about the pattern related to the present continuous and the places, settings, background, where we can practically use it. A lot of people now, you can see that unprofessional people, when teaching English, they say that we use the present continuous tense to talk about things going on right now. To talk about things happening right now, which is not correct. So we discuss those things. There are a lot of places where we can use the present continuous tense. If we are restricted into a particular single idea, we lose many more places where we can comfortably use it. The difference between the simple present and the present continuous. Today we are going to compare these two tenses. Now you know that each and every sentence or idea in English gives you a particular way of making another idea. Now in this slide, the topic is, the subtopic is the difference between the simple present and the present continuous. If you have developed sort of learning eye, you can see a particular way of making different idea using the similar pattern that you find in the subtopic. Right? Simply looking at this, you can say the difference between this class and that. The difference between you and me. The difference between your father and mother. Likewise, whenever you meet, whenever you see a particular structure, pattern, see whether you can make your own type of idea using the same pattern, same word order. That is also a particular way of improving your language. You know, the language is developed, the web of the language is developed with lot of patterns. So we have to understand that. Or we have to get used to the web of the language. භාෂාවේ වියමනක් තියෙනවා. ඒ වියමනට හුරු වීම තමයි මූලිකම දේ භාෂාව ඉගෙන ගන්න. We should be familiar with the web of the language, which is developed with lot of different patterns, structures. මේ භාෂාවේ වියමන හඳුන ගැනීම සඳහා තමයි අර භාෂාව ඉගෙන ගන්න අවශ්‍ය නම් භාෂාවත් එක්ක හුරු වෙන්න කියන්නේ. Initial step is to get used to the language.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit these two in English, in Sinhala, because I couldn't understand these two sentences.
So actually, now the purpose of conducting this class on Friday is to continue this in the English medium. So I will, you know that because we are having another class, we are having another bilingual class on Thursday. So because there are a few foreigners here, if you are going to talk Sinhala, of course, it will be embarrassing or it will be, they may find it a bit difficult.
Okay, I understand.
Dear Sarah, we can discuss those things on Thursday class because the same
Okay,
lesson,
sure.
the same
Sure.
lesson. So I mean, you know that whenever you meet, now you see that you find a particular hope. There, now you can say there is a whiteboard in the class. Using that particular pattern, you can make your own idea. There is a whiteboard in the class. That is what I suggest here, right? Uh, there is a whiteboard in the class. Yeah, likewise, you can say there is a teacher in the class. There's a teacher in the class, living or non-living, whatever it may be. You can express any type of similar ideas using that particular there before. So you can say there's a holiday this week. There's a power cut today. There's a power failure today. Is there soap? There's no soap in the bathroom. There's a tap other side. There's a bank near here. Likewise, always we have to develop sort of learning eye. Whenever we see or meet to hear particular simple pattern that we can understand, we do have to use it in making our own idea, similar type of own ideas. So if you make a little effort to make different ideas using a single pattern that you see or that you hear or that you meet, you can develop. Then you concentrate on the language, web of the language. Anyway, we are going to compare these two tenses. Now you see that where do you work? Right? By using simple present tense, when you raise this particular question, where do you work? You want to know what is the usual place of work that the individual is involved. Where are you employed? Where is the usual place of work? So we ask sort of general idea regarding the place of work of an employee or of an individual. Oh, if you raise the same question by using present continuous, you make different idea. Where are you working? If you raise that particular question by using present continuous tense, where are you working? Right? You mean something different. You just ask what is the activity that you are in the middle right now and where. What is the thing that you are doing right now? What is the thing that you are involved in doing right now and where? So where are you working is always bound with the present situation. But simple present tense is not similar to the present continuous, though all the wordings are similar. Now you can see the difference is only the tense. The words which are used are the same. Where do you work? Now, by comparing these two tenses together, we can understand the difference between these two tenses. Having understood that, we also would be able to correctly use them. So sometimes we hear people use, "Where are you working?" just to ask the place of work, which is not correct. So if you want to know the place of employment of an individual, you actually cannot use the continuous. Because you know that as we discussed, we just use the present continuous tense to say that somebody is in the middle of an action right now. Oh, that is something going on. There are different type of ideas that we can develop simply by using the present continuous. But you cannot do the same thing by using the simple present. Now we'll take another example. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Now, it is simple present because you make sort of general idea. Whoever does it, wherever it may be, when water comes to that type of ignition point, heating degree, it automatically starts simmering. It automatically starts simmering. So when making an idea of that type, you do have to use the simple present. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. And look at the same sentence turned into present continuous. The water is boiling. Can you turn it off? When using the same wording in a different tense, like present continuous, you make different sense out of that. The water is boiling, can you turn it off? You plug in some water just to make some tea. Now it is simmering, boiling, and you want the other person to turn it off, switch it off. So that is bound with the particular situation. But the earlier idea where you use the simple present is quite different. And the other thing you can see there, we use water. Water is used in the sense of material. In the second example, the water, because we are talking about specific known quantity of water. The water. We are talking about quantity of water which is known to us. There we are using water in general without having any article. We use it only in the sense of material. Whatever water it may be, if you heat it, when it comes to that ignition point of 100 degrees Celsius, it automatically starts simmering. So you can, I think you can understand these two tenses, the difference between these two tenses. By comparing. Please question me. I think better if you can question me. Yeah, I don't know whether you understand or not. I think that most probably simple present tense is something that you have learned. So this may not be that much difficult. Most probably you may understand, but in case if you have any sort of issue,
There's a problem there.
Yes.
The water, what it mean?
The water, you have to, that means you want to make some tea, right? You get some water into a jug and you put it on the cooker. So you plug it in a heater Right there, you are talking about a specific water that you plug in for making tea. තේ හදන්න ගහපු වතුර ටික ඒ කතා කරන්නේ. අතන ලෝකේ ඕන වතුරක් කවුරු කරත් ඒක නිකන් මැටීරියල් අර්ථයෙන්. Compassion ushers sadness out and guides happiness in. Compassion ushers sadness out and guides happiness in. Now, that is also a Dhamma quote. I used to make Dhamma quotes in the in dialogue company 1 or 2 years ago. Compassion ushers sadness. Compassion accompanies, ushers sadness out and guides happiness in. In developing compassion, we care for those who love as well as those who we do not love. So, compassion is being assistive and supportive even towards not known to us, known and unknown both, without any intention of getting anything returned. We being assistive, supportive, compassion. And where does her husband work? He runs his own business. Simple present tense. And you know that most of the time when it comes to simple present of course, we use either do or does to be helping verbs. But you know, sometimes those two verbs can be the main verb. She does homework every day. When you just look at that example, you can see does is not a helping verb there. Now, when you say that he comes, he doesn't come, they come, they don't come, there we use either do or does to be the helping verb. But sometimes they can be the main verb. In this example, you can see does is used to be the main verb. She does homework. He is the subject, does is the verb, and homework is the object. And whenever we want to turn the idea negative, we have to separate does out of does. When you separate does out of does, remainder is the base form do. He does homework, he doesn't do homework. And you can interrogate having does at the beginning. Does she do homework? Doesn't she do? And he does his homework himself on his own. Then, කොච්චර එක්සයිස් කරනවද ඇහුවාම මේ සිංහල අය how many time, how much time මෙව්වා ගොඩක් වෙලාවට එහෙම පාවිච්චි කරනවා, but it is not correct. We do have to use how often. If you want to know the occasions or the times, the number of times or the time frame that an individual gets involved in doing things, you do have to use how often. කෙනෙක් කරන ක්‍රියාවක වාර ගණනයි කාල පරිමාණය. How often do you do exercises? පැයද පැය භාගයක්. How often do you exercise? How often do you work out? The same idea. Work out, exercise, do exercises. Then, සමහර අය අහනවා how many times do you brush your teeth? That is not the proper way of asking such a question. How many කීපාරක් දත්ම දිනවද කියලා how many times කියලා අහන්නේ. How often do you brush your teeth, clean your teeth? How often do you brush your teeth? How often? How many times? How often do you sweep the house? Because looking at our language, we are going to directly translate into English, looking at word by word and fabricating the idea, which is not correct most of the time. සිංහල වචන දිහා බලලා අපි ඉංග්‍රීසි හදන්න යනවා. එතකොට ඒක ඇත්තට සාර්ථකයි. How often do you read books? And they do exercises in the unit. You can see here, do is used to be the main verb. It is not a helping verb here. They don't do. Then when do is used to be the main verb, when making the idea negative, we do have to separate do out of do and connect negative with that. Once you separate do out of do, the remainder is the base form again do. They don't do exercises in the unit. Do they do exercises? Don't they do? And again, you know that I is one individual, right? I means one individual. You can be either one or more than one. But with these two subjects, we have to use the verb in the plural form. I go, I don't go. Even though you raise the question from one individual, you have to ask, do you go, not does you go. And this is another important thing that we should learn when using the simple present tense. You can see a few adverbs on the screen here. Always, never, often, sometimes, usually, rarely. These are adverbs of time because they make sort of idea regarding the time of the action happening. Always, never, often, sometimes, usually, rarely. You know that we cannot use these adverbs here and there. The placement is very important. When placing these adverbs, we do have to place them generally before the main verb. So if you are not quite aware of this, you may tend to use here and there, sometimes looking at our language. So when using these adverbs, see whether you use them before the main verb. But when it comes to conversational English, sometimes the term sometimes can be used here and there. But always you should understand what is the most appropriate place of using an adverb of time. He always comes here. He never comes here. He often comes here. He usually comes here. Rarely. You know that just like adding condiments to a curry, we have to use adjectives, prepositions, adverbs, to patterns of tenses in the proper place so that we can make the correct sense out of that, correct idea out of that. දැන් අපි වහන්සේ පත්තර බලනවා නම් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියනවා I read newspapers කියලා. නිතරම පත්තර බලනවා නම් I always read newspapers. කවදාකවත් බලන්නේ නැත්නම් I never read. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට බලනවා නම් I often read newspapers. සමහරක් වෙලාවට තමයි පත්තර බලන්නේ. I sometimes read newspapers. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් බලනවා නම් I usually read. කලාතුරකින් නම් I rarely read. Likewise, you have to mention the frequency that you get involved in doing sort of actions or activity. So when making ideas of that type, you have to use these adverbs. Please ask questions just to make this live. And the other thing,
sir, when you put this always after the what you call it sentence after early, it will be change the meaning.
It's not the proper way of telling you. So we have to understand what is the most appropriate place or the proper place or the natural place of calling an adverb. So we cannot use them here and there. So always when it comes to placing an adverb of time, see whether you use them before the main verb. Then you are quite safe. I take a very simple example so that you can make it clear the simple point. But you may see these things used in juicy sentences, long sentences, when making very complex type of ideas. But initially you have to understand the correct placement. You cannot insert these type of adverbs here and there as you want. So we have to understand where they correctly fall. And she always phones me. She never phones me. Now you can see the phone is a verb here. It is used as a verb and the adverb is used before that. Now what time do you usually watch TV? Now you can analyze that simple statement. What time do you usually watch TV? Now the adverb is usual. You can see it is used before the main verb. That is likewise, we have to understand the word order. When it comes to question, you can place the question forming phrase what time at the beginning. As it is a question, is the helping verb is placed before the subject. And then comes subject and the adverb usually is placed or used before the main verb. So we have to purposely concentrate on setting these type of grammatical terms. Now I usually watch TV at about 6 o'clock, around 6 o'clock. Now you see that I usually watch. Usually I watch TV at about 6 o'clock usually. All the time we have to, at the beginning, we have to adhere to a correct way of telling. How often do you watch TV? How many times how often? Question. I usually watch TV for about half an hour. Now you see that he often talks to me. But when it comes to negative, of course, right? I told you that we use the adverb of time before the main verb. But look at the second example. He doesn't talk to me very often. When it comes to negative sentences, where often is used, the often comes to the end along with very most of the time. So in positive sentences, you place it in the proper place as we discussed. He often talks to me. But when it comes to negative, of course, you have to use it at the end. He doesn't talk to me very often. I often drink coffee. But when you put that into negative, of course, you can't have often before the main verb. It is used at the end. I don't drink coffee very often. Often very adverbial particle. We often meet on Sunday. We don't meet Sunday very often. Likewise, there are exceptions. But earlier we discussed the general rule. Life and time are the world's best teachers. Life teaches us to make good use of time. Life teaches us to make good use of time, and time teaches us the value of time. Life and time are the world's best teachers. Life teaches us to make good use of time, and time teaches us the value of life. There is also general quote, general type of idea where you can see simple present tense is. Now life and time are the world's best teachers. Simple present. Am, is, or are is used along to be the main verb. You should consider them to be simple present, as they make sort of general idea. There you don't find Buddhas, ordinary verbs. If present forms of be, am, is, or are is used to be the main verb, you should consider them to be simple present, where you can make sort of general ideas. Don't wait for opportunities to follow you. Instead, you start following them. සයින්වහන්සේ මේ ක්ලාස් එකට ටිකක් ඉතින් මේකට සම්බන්ධ වෙන හන්දා අර මේක රෙකෝඩින් එක බලන්න ඉන්නේ නැතුව පන්තියට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා පොඩ්ඩක් උනන්දු කරන්න කියලා කරුණාවෙන් රික්වෙස්ට් එකක් කරනවා. ගොඩක් සයින්වහන්සේලා සම්බන්ධ වෙලා නැති නිසා. අනික රෙකෝඩින් එක එහෙම ඔය එක තැනක ඉඳන් පැයක් ඕක අහන්නේ නැහැ. මේකට එකතු වෙලා තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඒ කියන්නේ you can join the session and you can raise questions, we can discuss, we can make it a bit more live and learn something. Mirror is my best friend. It doesn't laugh when I cry. Mirror is my best friend. Simple present because is used to be the main verb. Mirror is my best friend. It doesn't laugh when I cry. Simple present. Select what you like and like what you select. Simple present. So taking quotes also we can learn patterns. So when you take long lesson, very big text and all, sometimes you feel boring when you continue reading. But having quotes, of course, we can simply understand the patterns and remember their function. And you know that verbs can be categorized into two different areas like action and non-action. So this understanding also helps us to improve our both conversational and written English. Now you can see a simple list of common verbs, a list of verbs that we commonly use. Want, need, promise, suggest, agree, insist, apologize, advise, like, prefer, love, hate, know, remember, here, belong, theme, taste, smell, refuse, deny, admit, intend. So when using you know that now we have to understand how we can categorize verbs into action and non-action, because that is that actually helps us to improve our correct using of the patterns related to tenses. Now you see that you just imagine that a child is riding a bicycle near you. Right? Now you just imagine that a child is riding a bicycle near you. He's riding a toy bike, right? Somewhere near you. If a child is riding a bicycle, can you see him riding? I need your response. If a child is riding a bicycle near you, can you see him riding? ළමෙක් බයිසිකලයක් දැව ඉන්න කිට්ටු පොඩි ළමයි බයික් එකක් පදිනවා නම් ඔබ හිතන ඒක පේනවද නැද්ද?
පේනවා.
ඒ ක්‍රියාව බයිසිකලේ පදින ක්‍රියාව පේනවද නැද්ද? You can see the action. You can see the child riding the bike. When I say I want some water, right? I say I want some water. When I say by using simple present tense, when I say I want some water, want is a verb. But can you see any sort of action out of that particular verb? Can you see me wanting any water? You can't see. You can't see any action out of want. That is why we consider them to be non-action. There are certain verbs, even though they are verbs, sort of action is not noticeable. Need. You can say that, I would say you need a dictionary. But I can't see your requirement, though it's a verb. But when I say that I'm eating, you can see me eating something. When I say that I'm writing an essay, you can see me writing. I promise you. So what is the important thing that we have to understand with in terms of these non-action verbs? You can't use these verbs in continuous tenses. Now you see that I want some water. Even though the necessity is going on, you can never say by using present continuous, I am wanting some water. Instead of present simple, you cannot use present continuous. Right? You can never say I am needing a dictionary. Instead, you do have to say I need a dictionary. Promise. Even when you are making some sort of promise, you can never say I'm promising you. Instead, you do have to say I promise you. Why don't promise? Even when you are making sort of suggestion, you can never say that I am suggesting. Instead, you have to say I suggest. The vartav satya vartav කියලා මම යෝජනා කරනවා. I suggest that the minutes are in order. I suggest that the minutes are in order. Then somebody can second it. Then somebody can second it. ඒක කාට හරි එක ස්ථීර කරන්න පුළුවන්. I'm suggesting කියන්නේ. එනේ අපි තේරුම් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේවා මේ non action කියන ක්‍රියාපද ing කාලවල යෙදෙන්නේ. ඒක දැන් present continuous ඉගෙන ගත්තාම ඔක්කොම අරගෙන ing දාන්න යනවා. ඕන ක්‍රියාපදයක් කරා. මොකද අපි ගොඩක් continuous පාවිච්චි කරන වැඩි හැමතැන. මුල් අවස්ථාවේ තේරුමකින් තොරව. ඒතර ඒව නිවැරදි කරගන්න මේ දැනුම වැදගත්. And I agree. Even when you are making sort of agreement, you can never say that I'm agreeing. Instead, you have to say, I agree with you. Oh, I don't agree. මං වාට බිල ගෙවන්න කියලා බල කරන්නේ. I don't insist you to pay the bill. I am not insisting කියන්නේ. මං වාගෙන් සමාව ගන්නවා. I am apologizing කියන්නේ. I apologize. I apologize to you. I apologize for having done it. I apologize for having done it. Take karata mama. I apologize having said something of that sort. එහෙම දෙයක් කිව්වට මම සමාව ඉල්ලනවා. You can never say that I am apologizing. You cannot say my father is advising me. Instead, you have to say my father advises me. අවවාද කරනවා advice. You have to take the advice by elders. You have to take the advice. Take the advice in Piligan. You have to take the advice by elders. Not because that they are correct all the time, but they have a lot of experiences of being wrong. So there's some weight in their saying. That's why we have to admit. And like, I like it. You don't say I'm liking it. You can say I like your book. Kamathi. Vada kamathi I prefer. I prefer coffee to tea. I prefer coffee to tea. I prefer coffee than tea. I prefer coffee to tea. Instead of then, you can use even two in the same sense, same meaning. Vada kamathi, prefer. Love gudakka. I love ice cream a lot. Hate is the opposite of love. You see that love has 4 letters. So does hate. Love කියන එකට අකුරු 4යි. ඒකේ අනිත් පැත්තටත් අකුරු 4යි. Hate. Hate කියන්නේ ගොඩාක් අකමැති. Love කියන්නේ ගොඩාක් කැමති. වෛර කරනවා කියලා පාඩම් කරලා තියාගන්න හොඳ නැහැ. එහෙම විතරක් අදහසක් නැහැ. Hate කියන එක වෛර කරනවා කියන අදහස සමහර තැන්වල එනවා. දැන් උදාහරණයකට ගත්තොත් නහි වේරේන වේරාණි සම්මන්තිද පුදාචනං අවේරේනච සම්මන්ති ඒස ධම්මෝ සනන්තනෝ. That Pali verse of Dhammapada is generally translated. Hatred cannot be annihilated. Hatred cannot be removed by hatred. Hatred can only be annihilated by loving kindness and compassion. Very good. The simile is emphasized there. You can never dispel darkness by darkness itself. Darkness can only be dispelled by light, not by darkness. අඳුරෙන් පහ කරන්න බෑ. So anyway, when it comes to general conversational English, we use hate, the term hate, in the sense of ගොඩක් අකමැති. I hate that bug. I hate that fellow. දැන් පොඩි කාලේ අපි කියනවා I hate bitter gourds. කරවිල මට පෙන්නන්න බෑ. ing දාන්නේ. He knows you. He doesn't know you. I remember it. I'm remembering කියන්නේ. ආවර්ජනය කරමින් ඉන්නවනම් you can use another term. I'm recalling. I'm recalling what you told me. I'm recalling. මම ආවර්ජනය කර. Remember කියලා කියන එක ing දාන්නේ. Recollection, ආවර්ජනය. Here. What I hear you. I don't hear you. I'm hearing you again. And I'm listening to you. Belong. This book belongs to you. Oh, this book doesn't belong to you. This land belongs to you. This land belongs to us. This land belongs to all of us to live in harmony. Like, she seems happy. It tastes good. Oh, it doesn't taste good. It smells a bit weird here. It smells a bit weird here. I refuse, deny, admit. Admit can අපි ඔළුවේ සමහරවල්ලාට පාඩම් කරලා දිනවනේ ඒක. අතුලත් කරනවා ඒක. ඒක කලාතුරකින්. Admit කියලා කියන්නේ most of the time admit කියන්නේ පිළිගන්න. I admit your idea. I admit having said it. ඒක කිව්වා කියලා මම පිළිගන්නවා. I admit having done it. කරා කියන එක මම පිළිගන්නවා. Intent අදහස්. I intend to go abroad. රටයන් අදහස් කරනවා. Intention. මොකද අපි සන්නන්ස වෙන ලෙසන් එකකට යමු අර බුද්දිස්ට් vocabulary එක එන මේක ඉවර නැහැ අපි මේක තව වැදගත්ම කොටස මට මේ මූලික ටික විතරයි කරේ simple present tense එකේ ප්‍රායෝගික භාවිතයේ වැදගත්ම කොටසක් තියෙනවා I think we will discuss it the other day because we are running out of time otherwise and Sometimes, please question. Otherwise, this would be really boring. Then we start the other part.
Okay, sir.
Sometimes when you know that when preaching Dhamma, sometimes you have to elaborate. You have to explain what Panchaskandha or Panchaskandha is. In English, we call the five aggregates. Five aggregates of clinging. Pancha Upadana Skandha. The five aggregates, Panchaskandha, the entity to be taken as life. So most of the time, in order to do away the idea of Atta, or the concept of Atta, we have to vividly elaborate the concept or the teaching, Buddhist teaching of life. We have to analyze, analytically point out the entity to be taken as life, the manifestation to be taken as life. ජීවිතය කියලා අපි අල්ලගත්ත ධර්මතාවය ගොඩවල් හැටියට ඇනලයිස් කරන්න. රූප වේදනා සංඥා සංකාර විඤ්ඤාණ. Basically, form. Rupa means form or material image, material impression. The Pali term Rupa is usually translated into English like material or matter. Generally, we call it the body, the material form of a being or any sort of existence. Buddhist texts state that Rupa of any person, sentient being, or object is composed of four basic elements, four great elements, four forces. What we call Satara Maha Bhuta, Patavi, Apu, Tejo, Vayu. Patavi is the earth elements. රූප හැදීම ඒක රූප භෞතිකයේ ගොඩනගෙන භෞතිකයේ විතරක් නෙමෙයි ඕනම ශක්තියින් වල ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය පෙන්වන්න මේ four elements ගැන කතා කරනවා. ඕනම සංස්කාරවල ඒ formation එක continuation එක process එක පෙන්වන්න we talk about these four great elements in Buddhism. Patavi is the earth element which have the Patavi is the earth elements which have the attributes of solidity. It has the aspect of connecting and tightening physical tiny substances together to form the body or the material entity. And then comes water elements that support the process of connecting and tightening. Water elements have the attribute of or the quality of cohesion, interconnection. And then comes fire elements, generate heat. The heat that generate in the process of tightening. And the fourth one, the air elements, do spreading the heat throughout the related process. In Buddhist texts, the form is made similar to Penupamankhaya. I think you know that Penupamankhaya. the physical body, the material impression, the material image is compared to a clump of forms. A clump of forms. Just to emphasize the emptiness of the physics objective. අපාර්ථමය වශයෙන් අර හිස් බව දක්වන්න පේනූපමං කාය. ඊට පස්සේ මේ එතකොට අර අපිට රූප කියන එක පැහැදිලි කරන්න ඔය කියන වචන සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට පස්සේ දෙවෙනි වට එනවා feelings, sensations. Vedana is generally translated into English like as feelings or sensations. Sensations or feelings, Vedana, are the sensory experience of an object. Vedana or feelings are actually found in two different tones. Sukha Vedana, pleasant feelings. Dukkha Vedana, unpleasant feelings. Adukkha Sukha Vedana, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Sometimes we call it neutral feeling. Neutral, adukkha sukha. When you see a leaf falling from a tree, you feel neither pleasant nor unpleasant. දැන් ගහකින් කොළයක් වැටෙනකොට අපිට ඒක දිහා බලන් හිටියම සැපත් නැහැ දුකත් නැහැ. නමුත් එතන අපිට මේ උපේක්ෂා සහ ලෞකික උපේක්ෂා සහගත අදුක්කම සුඛ දැනීමක් යන. Vedana is translated as agreeable feelings. Sukha Vedana, disagreeable feelings. Dukkha Vedana, and neither agreeable nor disagreeable feelings are Dukkha Sukha Vedana. What a vachane, a terms of use. Sometimes we find it as pleasing sensation. Sukha Vedana, non-pleasing sensations, Dukkha Vedana, and neither pleasing nor non-pleasing sensations are Dukkha Sukha Vedana. And Vedana is compared to bubbles, water bubbles. When it is raining, you can see a lot of bubbles of water falling down. They didn't exist. They get formed due to different reasons. And the water, they get formed and they vanish, they evaporate, they diminish once they fall on the ground. Vedana Bubbulubhava. Now, when we are having a cup of tea, you can experience some sort of feeling when that thought of tea passing your tongue. But as it passes, the feeling generates there or pops up there, passes too. We can't remain the feeling, though it is pleasing. That's why it is compared to water bubbles. Vedana Bubbulubhava. දැන් වහන්සේලා අපි දන්න කාරණා අර මම මේ ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කොහොමද පොඩ්ඩක් මේක කියන්නේ කියන එක කියන්නේ. එතකොට using these terms, wordings, I think you can further elaborate as you are thoroughly aware of these type of concepts and teaching. මේ අනාත්ම සංකල්පය ගේන්න තියෙන ප්‍රධාන ඉගැන්වීම. Anyway, if I tell something wrong, please correct me. I think you would help me making your comments, because I was asked to add particular part to the lesson so that you can improve your vocabulary, especially related to Buddhist teaching. And then comes perceptions, sanya, the memory chip of the individual. The computer memory card එක වගේ perception, sanya. මේක තමයි ඉතින් අවුල්ම case එක. This doesn't allow us to enjoy anything fresh. කිසිම දෙයක් අපිට නැවුම්ම use කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයා ඇවිල්ලා පරණේව දාලා අවුට් කරලා වෙන සංස්කාර ටිකක් හදනවා. The perceptions, sanya, the sensory and mental process that registers, recognizes, and labels the experiences that we get through sense basis. එතකොට අපි මේ ඉන්ද්‍රියන්ගෙන් ලැබෙන සංවේදනා අපිට අරව මේවා කියලා analyze කරලා දෙන්න. For instance, the shape of a tree, the color, green, emotions of fear, happy, and so on. When I looking out through the window, I can see, initially I can see a few trees. With the help of my stream of consciousness, I can get sort of awareness when seeing things. But identification is developed by perceptions. Later on, very quickly it happens. And later on, I understand why I saw the bamboo tree. Likewise, I get certain idea about the visual forms that my eyes met. That is done by perceptions. So what I mean, සංඥා වලින් කරන්නේ අර විඥානයේ වෙන දේ පිළිබඳ මේ අදහසක් ලබා දෙන්නේ. The perception can be subdivided into perceptions derived from identifying visual forms, rupa sanya. Perceptions are derived through the sense-based ear, sadda sanya. Perceptions derived through the sense-based body, sparsa sanya. Tactile perceptions received through the sense-based body. Taste-related perception derived through the sense-based tongue, rasa sanya. And anyway, perception, so sanya, is compared to a mirror. Marichi upama sanya. අපේ මේ මතක ගොඩ මිරිඟුවක් කියලා බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ කියනවා. You know that when you walk on a very straight, long path in a very hot day during the daytime, when you keep on looking a bit far distance, you can see a stream of water passing ahead. But when approaching, of course, you see nothing. That is called mirage. අපි රස්නේ දවසක ඈත අපිට පාර කෙලින් පාරක යනකොට පේනවා ඒ වතුර වගේ. ළඟට ගියාම නෑ. So Buddha says, Marichi upama sanya. The emptiness of perceptions are emphasized by giving that particular example by the Buddha. Then comes mental activities, mental formation, sankhara. Mental activity, mental formations, mental constructions, sankhara. Anyway, it's a common term. Anything, whatever it may, energies or physics or whatever it may be, if something get formed, they are considered to be sankhara or relevant construction, formations. Here, highly emphasize the mental formations, manasika sanskara. As Buddhism is a teaching which is more into sort of psychology. We also call them mental construction. All the conditions are also called sankhara. Whatever form are conditioned and considered to be sankhara. Sankhara also called karmic activity, volitions, all types of mental imprints and conditioning triggered or caused by an object. Mental activities are sort of processes that propel or persuade a person to initiate an action or an act. We also find it called as mental fabrication or volitional formation. Sankhara, in Buddhism, sankhara is compared to the trunk of a banana tree. Sankhara kadalupa. The whole mental activities. Now, you know that even though we keep our eyes closed, mental activities are popping up. Mental formations are in progress. Mental constructions are going on. So all those mental process activities are considered to be a trunk of a banana tree. Sankhara, all these mental activities, all these type of formations are compared to a trunk of a banana tree. You know that. Sankhara kadalupa wage. Kehel khadakata kehel kahakata upama karana. Right? When removing coil by coil, you see nothing inside. You don't see any core inside. When removing coil by coil, if you take a trunk of a banana tree and remove coil by coil, you get nothing inside. Sankhara kadalupa. And then comes the fifth one, stream of consciousness. Vijnana. The stream of consciousness. Now, අතරම මටත් විඥාන කියන වචනේ ඉස්සරම අපිට පොඩි කාලේ ඉතර තේරෙන්නේ. නොතර ඉංග්‍රීසි වචනේ ගත්තාම stream of consciousness. ශක්ති ධාරාවක් සජීවී අඛණ්ඩතාවයක් ලබා දෙන ස්වરૂපයක් කියන එක අදහස එනවා අර stream of consciousness කියන එක ඇතුළේ. විනාඩි 5ක්. You want to ask anything, Venerable Thera, Sila Vansa Thera? Yes, stream of consciousness. Vijnana is translated into English as a stream of consciousness. It creates an awareness of an object through the process of contact or passion. එතකොට ස්පර්ශය හරහා ලබා දෙන සජීවී දැනුවත් බව. චක්කුම් පටිච්ච රූපේට චක්කු විඤ්ඤාණ. When those three phenomena met together, the related consciousness arises. Vijnana is a sort of cognizance and happens like a series of rapidly changing, interconnected, distinct acts or cognizance. It is the base that supports all experiences. The total experience, the total human experience is actually based on this awareness of consciousness. And Vijnana related to the six sense bases. The awareness or liveliness we get by seeing visual forms is identified to be eye consciousness, Chakku Vijnana. When seeing visual forms, we get sort of awareness, liveliness. That is understood or that is taught to be Chakku Vijnana or the consciousness based on the sense-based eye. The awareness or liveliness we get by hearing sound is identified to be ear consciousness, Sota Vijnana. So when hearing sound, at the beginning, you get sort of awareness. You get sort of liveliness. You hear it. That liveliness develops by the stream of consciousness. The awareness or liveliness we get by smelling odor is identified to be North consciousness, Dhana Vijnana. When you smell something, also you get sort of awareness of the same. That is identified to be Dhana Vijnana or North consciousness. The awareness or liveliness we get by tasting is identified to be tongue consciousness, Jivha Vijnana. The awareness or liveliness we get by tactile, bodily tactile or body touches is identified to be body consciousness, Kaya Vijnana. The awareness that we get through the sense base of the body. The awareness or liveliness we get by thinking is identified to be mind consciousness, Mano Vijnana. So likewise, the consciousness, awareness are of 6 types based on 6 sense bases. ඒකට මනසත් ඉන්ද්‍රියක් හැටියට ගත්තාම එතනත් ඒකත් ගත්තාම ඒකත් තවත් විඥානයක් සිතිවිලි අතුල්ලන ක්‍රියාවලිය සිද්ධ වෙනවා. So now this is main teaching, the concept of 5 aggregate, the teaching of the 5 aggregate is this is Vijnana. Vijnana is compared to a magician. You know that when you go to see a magic show, the magician shows us different things. But whatever he shows us is not actually available. It's only a magic. Likewise, the awareness, the liveliness, also nothing permanently exists according to Buddhist teaching. Mayupamanta Vinyana. That's why Buddha gave very comprehensive simile when comparing Vinyana. Mayupamanta Vinyana. So I think we are running out of the time, and it is time that we should wind up the session. Before winding up, Venerable Thera, please make any comment, positive or negative, anything, regarding the session that you've been doing so far. Anyway, we couldn't finish the lesson that but I did the other day because
I can suggest something.
yes,
Please.
Yes.
When you're talking about this last part of the session, we can do like this. If someone like to preach from this, we can allow them to 3 or 5 minutes
yes.
to.
Yeah, actually, not only this, if you have any concept or any teaching, any piece of teaching, based on any piece of teaching, I think you can make comment or you can do very brief presentation. It's okay. I can give you the time. And I think when describing, when elaborating the Panchakhanda or the five aggregates, when five aggregates is just Panchaskandha, but when we call the aggregates of the five aggregates of clinging, Pancha Upadanaskandha, then if we consider those aggregates, those heaps, or those phenomena to be kind of permanent entity taken as life, then it is clinging. Father. දැන් මේක අපි කරපු ග්‍රැමර් ලෙසන් එක ඉංග්‍රීසි මේ පංචස්කන්ධය ගැන අපි වචන ටික උභාන්සලට අහු වෙන විදිහේ පොඩි අදහසක් ඉදිරිපත් කරා උභාන්සලා දන්නවා ඊට ටිකක් ඒක පළල්ව දන්න කාරණයක් එකට අදාළ වචන කැවිලරි එක එන විදිහට තමයි සාකච්ඡා කරේ ඒකේ මොනවා හරි විවේචනයක් සාකච්ඡාවක් අදහසක් තියෙනවා ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න සර් සරණසේ යාර වැඩසටහන ජූලි 30 සහ ජූනි 30 සහ ජූලි 1 2 ඊරහන්ද වහන්සලා මේ ඒකට නාරද ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේට නම ටෙක්ස්ට් කරා නම් මොකද ඒකේ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ මේ සංවිධාන කටයුතු ටිකක් අපිට කරගන්න තියෙන නිසා ඒක ගොඩක් වැදගත්. කලින් අපිට එහෙම දැනුවත් කරන එක.